I think here's what we can do. I think we need to always remember that AI is a tool and we people need to control it. I want to ask you something, and I want to ask myself the same thing at the same time. In the age of AI, who owns your thinking? Not your output, not your content, not your work, your thinking. The process of arriving at an idea, the moment before the answer. Who owns that now? Because I have been sitting with this question for some time now, and I couldn't find the right words in English. So I tried writing it in Japanese, the language that I'm learning, because sometimes the simplest form of a language forces you to say only what is true. AIの時代に誰があなたの考えを持っていますか? In the age of AI, who owns your thinking? So I want to be clear about something before I move further. And this is not me pointing at other people, but this is me looking at myself in the mirror. I have been using AI since 2022. Every day at my work, with my health, with travels, with my finances, with my relationship. I use it all the time. I have probably used it more consistently than anyone else's in my network. And somewhere along the way, something happened. Especially when I started using it in my content creation journey. I started depending on it to the point where I myself stopped writing in my own words. I used to write in school. I used to write feature and editorial articles when I was in high school, essays and blogs when I was in college. I used to have a voice, an opinion. I know how to write my thoughts on a page. But now I open ChatGPT first. Before I have even finished forming a thought, I reach out for it and I'm already asking something else to do it for me. Basically, I lost confidence in my own words. And that is the honest truth. And if I'm being even more honest, I use AI to script this video. I am very much aware of the irony and I am sitting at it right now. But this is not just about me because I have started noticing it everywhere. People accepting AI outputs without reading it, posting things that are AI generated without reviewing them, sending messages that do not sound like them, submitting works and reports and ideas, and then not being able to answer when asked with a follow-up question. Automated messages using AI that sometimes doesn't fit the occasion. And what scared me the most was not the big dramatic cases. It was the small ones, the everyday ones. When people use AI to decide what to say to someone they love, when they use it to figure out what is their idea or opinion about something, when they use it to answer questions they haven't even tried answering themselves. I work in technology and I am a systems engineer. I have watched AI change the way we work, how we solve problems at work, and it was genuinely for the better in many, many ways. I can now solve issues in minutes that before AI, I used to have to spend hours and days digging through tons of documentations and blogs and technical forums. But there is a difference between AI helping you execute a solution and AI replacing you in the process of finding it. I think that's okay too. But then if we rely too much in AI to solve everything for us, that we do not take the time to think anymore and to form judgments and to form opinions and our own thoughts and to understand what is going on around us, the process of investigating, the probing, the asking why before asking how, I think that is something that we do not want to lose because that is where thinking lives. I think that the way of approaching a problem, that is mine, and that is not something that I want to outsource to AI. That is the thing that I am most afraid of. So when I ask you who owns your thinking, I am not asking about copyright or data privacy, although that in itself are real questions too. But I'm asking something that is more personal. When you arrive at an idea, where did it come from? Did it come from your experience, your mistakes, your observations, your values? Or did it come from a model that is trained from someone else's experience, observations, and values? I used to churn out tons of ideas, and I still do. I can brainstorm for hours and then I can generate things that genuinely excites me. But what I treasure, I realize, is not the idea itself, but the process of arriving to that idea, the path that led me to it. The random thing that I've read in a transmigration novel that connects to something that I've experienced 3 years ago that somehow is connecting to a problem that I was trying to solve yesterday. That chain, that path, that thinking, that is mine. AI can give you an idea, tons of idea, in seconds. Better formatted, more comprehensive, more structured, and more articulated than what you might produce on your own. But it cannot give you the path, cannot give you the feeling of arriving. And I think that feeling, that moment of genuine insight, that moment where something clicks because of who you are, because of what you have experienced, of what you believe, of what your values are, because of the life that you have lived. I think that is one of the most deep human experiences that we can have. So when we outsource that process consistently, quietly, and conveniently, we are not just losing time, we are losing practice. And like any skill, thinking atrophies when not used. And here's the most uncomfortable part, because coding used to be a skill that takes years to learn, and software development is a skill that only few people had. But now anyone, like literally anyone, can build a software, an application with just a sentence, with just a prompt, with just an instruction. And that is genuinely amazing. That's genuinely incredible. And I'm not saying that it is bad, because I myself built something even without coding skills and software development. Even though I work in tech, I work in oil and gas, and software development is also another field. And even with that barrier, I was able to create my own app. In the past week, I built my own accounting app. I built a website intelligence system. I was able to build these things using AI assisted coding, things that I could never build alone, things that would take months, and I was able to build in hours. Those things are real, and those things are very useful. But if this continues, when I think about it, what happens to the generation of people who will never know what it feels like to solve something? What will happen to the generation of people who will never know how to solve a difficult problem slowly, to be stuck, to not understand something, to have to sit with a confusion long enough that eventually, through effort and frustration and time, the confusion turns into clarity? Because that experience of earning your own understanding is not just inefficiency. It is how deep knowledge is built. It is how true confidence and competence is built. It is how you develop the judgment to know when the AI answer is right or when it is plausible but wrong. We are still in the early years of this, and most people have not noticed this yet, and maybe some few already have. The consequences of outsourcing our thinking will not show up in a single dramatic event or moment. They will show up quietly in the gradual difficulty of forming an opinion about something, in the gradual difficulty of forming an opinion without help, in the discomfort of sitting with a problem before reaching into a solution, and sadly for me, in the slow erosion of our confidence with our own voice. I noticed it myself, and when I saw it, I could not unsee it. But here's where I want to be clear about. I'm not saying that you should not use AI, because why shouldn't you? And AI is staying. It's never going to go away. And I myself, I use it every day, and I will keep using it, because using it have genuinely changed the way I work. It allowed me to work faster, smarter. It has genuinely changed my life in ways that I'm genuinely grateful for. It helped me say things to someone I love that I could not find the words for. It helped me understand my own health better. It helped me learn faster, work smarter. So what do we do now? So here's what I think. I think that we should never forget that AI is a tool, and as people, we need to control it. AI is a tool, and like any other tool, it does exactly what you point it at. A hammer does not decide what to build, but you do. The question is whether you still are deciding consciously, deliberately, with your own values and with your own judgment, or whether you have quietly handed that role to a tool. Using AI consciously means knowing the difference between using it to express your thinking better and using it instead of thinking. It means reading the output critically instead of accepting it as truth. It means noticing before reaching for it, before you have even tried doing it yourself. And it could also mean that we have to choose the slower path. Not because efficiency is bad, but because some things are worth the inefficiency. Forming your own opinion, finding your own words, arriving at your own idea through your own path. Because that path, I think that is the most human experience that we can have, and it is worth protecting. I started this channel because I love learning. Not just learning about AI, learning about a lot of things. Learning about everything, about health, technology, marketing, business, engineering, life. And the thing I love the most about learning is not the moment that you know something. It is the moment just before. It is the moment when you're still figuring it out. When a question is alive and the answer has not yet arrived. Because that moment, it belongs to you. So let us make it stay that way. AIの時代に、誰があなたの考えを持っていますか? In the age of AI, who owns your thinking?